I've started 100 different projects in my 33 years. Piano lessons, running club, morning habits, jewelry making, painting, and even playing squash. And I quit every single one of them. If that sounds familiar, I need you to know something. You're not lazy, you're not broken, and definitely you're not alone. I used to think there was something fundamentally wrong with me. But turns out, I was completely wrong. There are actually 9 reasons why you keep quitting things. And once you understand them, everything changes. Hi, I'm Josie, and this is my first video that actually see the light of the day. And believe me, there have been many that didn't make this far. I'm starting this channel because I'm tired of feeling stuck. Tired of starting new things and never finishing them. And I'm guessing if you clicked in this video, you might feel the same way. Here's what I've learned after years of beating myself up for not finishing things. There's actually a science behind it. I'm not here to give you another productivity hack or to tell you just push through it. I'm here to tell you the truth. Why your brain is literally working against you and what you can actually do about it. Let me ask you something. How many times have you started something with incredible enthusiasm only to lose interest a few weeks later? For me, it was squash. I was obsessed. I bought all the gear, booked classes 6 months ahead, and told everyone that I'm gonna be this amazing squash player. Few first sessions were incredible. I felt like I was onto something big. And I stuck with it for 3 months. But then going to the court felt like a chore. I started finding excuses. I'm too tired, I don't have enough time, maybe next week. Sound familiar? Yeah, I know. Here's what I wish I knew back then. When you start something new, your brain releases dopamine, but not for the reason you think. Dopamine isn't about pleasure, it's about anticipation. It's your brain telling, this could be amazing. But once the novelty wears off, the chemical hit disappears. Your brain gets bored, and not because you're lazy, but because there is no more mystery, there is no potential for surprise. The people who stick with things, they aren't more disciplined than you. They just know this drop is coming, and they have planned for it. What kind of plan? For me, it could be finding a new coach, playing with someone new, or preparing for some amateur championship. Unfortunately, I haven't done this, but at least right now I have a plan for when I'll decide to go back to the sport. I need to tell you about the video that almost killed this channel before it even started. I spent 3 weeks on it. 3 weeks. I recorded it and it took me a week to shot a perfect shot. I color corrected every frame, I researched perfect font for a thumbnail, I write and rewrite script until I could recite it backwards. You know what happened? It never got posted. Because in my opinion, it wasn't good enough. I was so focused on making it perfect that I forgot to make it good. That's the trap most of us fall into. We set these impossible standards, and when we can't meet them, we quit. But here's the thing about perfection. It's not about high standards. It's about fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of looking stupid. Your brain would rather you quit than taking a risk being bad at something. I wish someone told me that being terrible at something is just an entry fee to eventually becoming good at it. Every expert you admire were once exactly where you are right now. They just didn't quit when it got uncomfortable. A year into playing piano, I was ready to give up. I could play a few basic songs, but I still couldn't play anything impressive. My friends who had been playing around the same amount of time, they seemed so much better than I did. I'm just not naturally talented, I told myself. Some people have it, some people don't. That was the story I told myself when I quit. And I was completely wrong. Progress isn't always visible. When you're learning piano, you're not just learning new songs. You're building neural pathways. You're developing finger independence and training your ear. When you're running, you're not just getting faster. You're building your cardiovascular endurance, strengthening your bones, and developing your mental resilience. Your brain doesn't recognize this invisible progress, so it assumes that nothing is happening. But the most important growth happens in the spaces where you can't see it. The day you don't feel like practicing, but you do it anyway, that's the progress. The morning when you lace up your running shoes even though you feel tired, that's the progress too. Those moments aren't failures. They literally rewiring your brain for consistency. Remember that YouTube channel I mentioned before? Here's what actually happened. I didn't just decide to start making videos. I decided to become a YouTuber. I created the content calendar for 6 months. I designed logo, set up the channel, researched the equipment, and started to learn video editing, thumbnail design, and SEO optimization. All at the same time. Within a month, I was drowning. Every day, I felt like I was falling further behind on this massive project I created for myself. And you know what I did? I just closed my laptop and pretended none of it ever happened. Your brain has limited energy for making decisions. When you try to change everything at the same time, you overwhelm your system and it shuts down. It's not character flaw, it's biology. The secret isn't doing everything perfectly. It's doing one thing consistently. What if instead of becoming a YouTuber, I would commit myself to start talking to a camera for 5 minutes a day? Instead of becoming fit, what if I committed to putting on my running shoes? Those small steps don't feel impressive, but they are what actually make change. 2 years ago, I decided to become a travel influencer. But not because I loved photography, storytelling, or even travel, though I do love traveling. I wanted to become a travel influencer because I wanted the lifestyle. I wanted the free trips, I wanted brand partnerships, I wanted validations of thousands of followers. I wanted people to think that I have this amazing, adventurous life. So I started planning content, researching hashtags, setting up photo shoots. And you know what happened? I hated every single minute of it. Because I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for the image of who I thought I should be. When your motivation comes from outside, from what other people will think, from what looks good on social media, from what you think you should do, you're building a foundation that isn't actually yours. Your brain knows the difference between what you actually want and what you think you should want. And it will sabotage everything that doesn't feel authentic. Before you start anything new, ask yourself, what would it actually give you? Not what it looks from the outside, but what it would genuinely add to your life. We live in a world where everything happens instantly. You post a photo, you get likes a few minutes later. You send a text, you get response right away. You order something online and it arrives the next day. So naturally, when you start learning something new, you expect to see results at the same speed. You want to lose weight like those transformation photos, learn guitar like those viral videos, and start a business like those overnight success stories. But skills work on completely different timelines. We're talking months and years, and not days and weeks. I spent my 20s getting frustrated with everything because nothing was happening fast enough. I tried something new for a few weeks, see minimal progress, and move on to the next thing. I was always chasing the next quick win instead of committing to the long game. The things that are actually worth having Genuine skills, meaningful relationships, lasting health changes, and creative abilities. They all require time. And it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's what makes them valuable. If anyone could get really good at playing guitar in a month, being good at guitar wouldn't mean anything. I have a confession to make. I've watched probably 100 hours of productivity videos on YouTube, or even more. I've tried every system. Time blocking, the Pomodoro technique, habit stacking, bullet journaling, morning routines, evening routines, you name it. And you know what happened? Everything started feeling like work. My rope skipping practice became the skill development time. My evening walks became mindfulness sessions. I couldn't just enjoy anything without tracking it, optimizing it, and turning it into a productivity hack. I was so busy optimizing my life that I forgot to actually live it. Some things don't need to be productive. Some things are worth doing just because they make you feel alive. Sometimes the point of painting is just to paint. Sometimes the point of walk is just to walk. When you turn everything into a system to be optimized, you suck the joy out of it. And without joy, motivation disappears. Here's something that might make you feel better about those failed projects. I spent 6 months learning graphic design. I had all the software, took online courses, and built a portfolio. I was convinced that this was my next path in life. But one day, I realized that I am more interested in stories behind the designs than the design themselves. So I stopped and felt terrible about it. Another thing I couldn't stick with, I told myself. But looking back, it wasn't a failure. It was evolution. I wasn't the same person who started learning design. My interests had changed. My priorities had shifted. I'd grown. Sometimes what feels like giving up is your brain telling you this doesn't serve who you're becoming anymore. The key is learning to distinguish between resistance when something feels hard but still aligns with your values, and misalignment when something no longer fits who you are. Not every abandoned project is a failure. Some are just evidence that you are changing, and that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Here's what I want you to understand. This video isn't about never quitting again. Sometimes quitting is just the right choice. This is about making conscious decisions instead of falling into unconscious patterns. It's about understanding why your brain does what it does, so you can work with it instead of against it. Pick one thing, just one, and instead of trying to stick with it forever, commit to understanding which of these patterns shows up for you. Treat it like an experiment in self-awareness. Because here's the truth. The difference between people who create and those who just dream about creating isn't a talent or motivation or discipline. It's understanding. Understanding why we start, why we quit, and why we sometimes need to change direction. And once you have this understanding, everything becomes possible. If this resonates with you, tell me in the comments which reason hits closest to home. And not just the number, but why it felt true for you. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you want to figure this stuff out together, hit subscribe, because I'm just getting started and I'd love to have you along for this journey.